Hello everyone, my name is Brian, but you can call me the Bugler, and today we're going to be breaking down the Stormcaller Warlock subclass and the skill tree, the Attunement of Conduction. But before we get started, I want to make a quick announcement. I'm going to try something new. Whenever I release a video, I want to go live on Twitch about a half hour later. This session I'm going to devote to question and answers about what I just talked about in the newly released video. If people enjoy it, I'll continue to do it. This is just a trial run. Anyway, let's get started. First up, we have the melee ability, which is called Chain Lightning. This melee ability has extended range and chains lightning to the nearest target. After that, we have a skill called Transcendence, which makes its return from Destiny 1. Whenever you activate Storm Trance with full grenade and melee energy, you completely restore your health and Storm Trance will last longer. After that, we have another returning skill called Arcweb. Enemies damaged by your grenades chain lightning to nearby enemies. And finally, our last returning skill is called Ionic Blink. This allows you to press the sprint button while using your Storm Trance in order to blink a short distance. Let's take a look at the melee ability first. The Warlock's base melee range is 4 meters, just like the other two classes. This ability increases that range to 5 meters. It deals the same base damage as a regular melee attack to the initial enemy hit at 236 to these enemies. Chain Lightning also deals damage to a second enemy. This enemy will receive damage that is equal to 55% of the initial melee attack. So to these enemies, we deal 132 damage. The range of the Chain Lightning is really special. It considers the first enemy that you hit to be the jumping off point for the range, and the lightning will jump up to 5 meters away from that enemy to a second enemy. So if you are the max distance from the first enemy, you can have a maximum range of a 10-meter long melee attack. Moving on to our next skill, we have Transcendence. When casting Storm Trance with full grenade and melee energy, you will fully restore your health and Storm Trance will last longer. Let's take a look at the duration first. Storm Trance, if you are not attacking enemies, has a base duration of 16 seconds. As long as you use this skill, however, you can increase that time to about 21 seconds. We're going to take a look at the duration of when you are actively attacking enemies next. When you are constantly holding your lightning down against enemies, and this means hitting them, not just holding the button down, Transcendence will last for 13 seconds, whereas the base Storm Trance will only last about 11 seconds. This is a decent increase in overall damage, but we'll look at those exact numbers when we do the grenade and super comparison over the next few days. But let's move on to the healing capabilities of Transcendence. If you activate Storm Trance when you have full grenade and melee energy, you will completely restore your health. It doesn't just start health regeneration. There's a difference here, because if you are continuing to receive damage, activating Transcendence will still completely heal you, much like the Devour Warlock. The third skill we're talking about is called Arcweb. Damaging enemies with grenades chains deadly lightning between them. This skill is a bit of an oddity, in that your grenade damage does not affect the Arcweb's damage. Any grenade that you use will deal a fixed lightning damage to the enemies surrounding the enemy hit by the grenade. So, against these enemies, every single enemy hit is dealt the same chain lightning damage at 186. Since this damage does not depend on the grenade that you use or the amount of damage that they receive from the grenade, I'm not sure where the damage numbers come from. They seem to just be a fixed amount that the game decides depending on your light level and the enemies that you are hitting. It's also interesting to know that the pulse grenade will trigger different Arcweb chains every few pulses. and not on every single pulse. And finally, we have our last skill and super modifier, Ionic Blink. By pressing the sprint button during Storm Trance, you can blink a short distance. Let's take a look at what that does. Ionic Blink costs about 1.2 seconds off of your super bar, so with Transcendence active and the 1 second cooldown in between blinks, you can have a maximum of 10 blinks in one Transcendence super, as long as you're not attacking anyone. Let's take a look at some of the finer points of Blink, such as its ability to reduce fall damage and whether or not you can teleport through enemies. Blink does reduce fall damage by a small amount because it counts as a jump. However, Blink in Destiny 2 conserves a small amount of momentum, so blinking will not completely reduce your fall damage. When it comes to teleporting through enemies, you cannot use Blink to do that. You will just continue to teleport directly into their chest. But what happens if you try to blink through rockets or other forms of damage? Ionic Blink has a very small window in which you can avoid damage. I had thought that it was not even possible because of how small the window was. It's exactly 1 frame, and that frame is from when you leave your current spot and teleport to a new spot. If the item that you're trying to avoid being hit by is in between those two distances, it can pass through you. This is the only way you can avoid damage with Blink, and it is very hard to master. I only caught it on footage twice. And that's the end of this breakdown. If you have any questions about how I conducted the tests, or why I might not have included other footage, let me know in the comments, or in this case, join me on Twitch in about a half hour. You can find the link to my Twitch channel, as well as our Discord server and my Patreon, in this video description. In my next video, I'm going to be finishing up the other skill tree for the Stormcaller Warlock. You can expect that video, hopefully, by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And speaking of Tuesday, that's the release date for the PC version of Destiny 2, so let's wish our new friends a good time. And once again, thanks for watching, I hope I see you next time, and good luck getting through the exclusion zone.